Okay, so here we go, 5.1. So definitely need our calculators for this section. Did y'all get your graphing calculators over at the library? There might be, anybody been over there today?
Question.
Yeah. What you got? For interest. You guys know this formula? I equals PRT, yeah. And that means interest equals, what's the P stand for? Principal times rate times time. And the time has got to be in years. That's probably the only tricky part. You got to be in years. So, for example, if they say 3 months, 3 months is what part of a year? 3/12 of a year, isn't it? So you got to turn it into years. Time has got to be in years when you use this formula. All right, so here we go. Interest, so they want me to find this. Interest equals the principal, which they're telling me is 6,000, times the rate, 4%, you make that a decimal, 0.04, times the time, again, make it 3/12, because that's in years now. What's that?
Can we simplify the 3/12?
You can, but I might as well just hit the buttons on the calculator since we're going to eventually just use the calculator anyway. So I'm just going to hit the whole thing in the calculator. So 6,000 times 0.04 times 3 divided by 12. Whoops. There we go. I got 60. Did you guys get $60 on that? $60. So I did 6,000 times 0.04. When it comes to the fraction, I just multiply the number on the top, divide the number on the bottom. Times 3 divided by 12. That's what a fraction means, right? Top number multiplied, bottom number divided. $60 on that. Good? On that? That's the simple. So that's the interest. Notice if you put $6,000 in the bank at 4% interest for 3 months, you're going to earn interest of $60. That's what that means. All right, let's try that one. So again, I equals PRT. You get a 3x5 card on the exam. I don't know if I mentioned that, 3x5 card. So you can just put that formula right on your card. So you don't have to memorize it, you just gotta use it. So give that a try. Is that too small? Can you read that? Can make it a little bigger. Let me show you what they're saying. All right, so what they're basically saying is it's a 3-year bond. Eventually, we're going to do time 3, 3-year. But right now, it's $2,400 at 10% interest, semi-annual. So that's time is a half a year, right? That's what's confused me. They gave me those 2 times. It's just 2 separate problems is what it is. So they want me to go I equals, the first question, I equals PRT for the half a year. See, semi-annual. So first, and it comes backwards too. That's the other thing that confused me. They first mentioned the 3, but they're actually first asking me about the half-year question, the semi-annual. So I go, okay, principal, 2,400 times interest rate, 0.10, right, the 10%, times the time, half a year, the semi-annual interest. So what's that going to be? 240 half of that, $120. And then the second part of the question, which they're going to ask, is the, what do they call, the life, the total interest for the life of the bond. So the bond will earn $120 in a half a year. Now they're asking, okay, do it again, but this time don't just do it for half a year. Do it for the whole life of the bond, which is 3 years. It's a 3-year bond. So the second time you just let T be 3. And 240 times 3 is at 720, I think. $720. Good on that? What they're talking about. So just simple interest on a bond. All right, I'm going to flash off that if you're okay. These will be on YouTube later. Okay. Can you guys read that? Let me let you, rather than me just whip it out. Why don't you take a couple steps, see if you can get that one. So loan, maybe I'll make some of this bigger. The loan is 14,418. 17 months is the time. 10.1% is the interest rate. And in the end, they want principal and interest. So figure out interest. Use the I equals PRT. That'll tell you the interest on the loan. And after you get that, add back the original principal, right? Because you borrowed $14,418. So in the end, you have to pay back the money you borrowed, the $14,418, plus the interest. So that's what they want at the end. Figure the interest and add it to the $14,418 to get the final answer, interest and principal. Give you a second on that, and then I'll whip it out, see if that makes sense for you. We're doing good. So this would be principal, 14,418 times the interest rate, 0.101. Right, I took that and moved the decimal 2 places to make it a decimal, times the time, 17 months. What do you do with the months again? You put it over 12. Because it's got to be changed into years. So we always put months over 12. Is that okay? Is that making sense? Because it's more than a year, right? 17/12 is like 1 5/12, isn't it? It's 1.5 years almost. It's 17/12 years, which is about 1.5, just under 1.5. So you just put it over 12. Whenever they give you months, you just put it over 12, and that changes it to years. Okay, hit the buttons on your calculator. 14,418 times 0.101 times 17 divided by 12. I'm getting 2062 I got 9755, so I'm going to have to round that up. 98 cents. Right, when a 5 or more, we round up. So that's the interest. That's the interest. You borrowed the 14,418 for 17 months, and that's the interest they're going to want you to pay back. You got it. The total amount of repayment, though, will be the interest plus the loan amount. So I have to add back now the loan amount, 14,418. So add 14,418. And I'm getting 16,480.98. That's the total repayment. Interest and principal. This is interest, this is principal. Right? That makes sense? The original amount borrowed. Got to pay back the original 14,000 you borrowed, plus the interest on it. So the total repayment check, 16,480.98. Questions I can answer on that? Are we good on that? So now they're saying find the present value given future amount. 64,000 for 20 months at 8% simple interest. All right, so let's think about what we've been doing. Let's think about how we've been, and they're saying what's the present value. So the formula we've been using is I equals PRT. I equals PRT. You with me? So interest is principal times rate times time. That's just interest, though. If you want to know future value, like the amount, like what did we have to do in this last problem? Let's look back. I think it'll be very helpful to look back at the last problem. Last problem, we borrowed 14,418. We figured the interest, 2,000 something. and we added them together to get this is what we would call the future amount that we would have to repay, 16,000 whatever. Is that good? So to get future amount, the future amount you're going to have to repay, you've got to add interest and principal, don't you? So let's do that here. Future value will be interest plus principal. Okay, that I'm representing it with just letters now. Same concept as what I just did right here. I took the interest and the principal and I added them together to get the future amount. So future amount, future value is interest plus principal. What is interest though? PRT plus P. Am I losing you? I'm doing a little fancy math here. So I'll call it FV, future value. Or let's just call it A for amount. Amount in the future is going to be interest plus principal. The interest earned plus the original principal. And interest, remember, is PRT plus P. Now let's do a little math trick. I bet you can see it. What am I going to do to make this formula easier? What's that? Can I factor? Remember factoring from your algebra days? Factor out the P. Times what? Times what would go back to this and this. RT plus, and P times what here? 1. I just factored. Remember that from your algebra days? Remember factoring? In other words, if I was to take this P and distribute it, remultiply it, P times RT, PRT, P times 1, P. It would go back. So, it's okay if you don't understand all those details, but what we now have is a formula you can put on your 3x5 card for finding the future value. We just came up with a little formula for future value. Future value is principal times RT plus 1. Do you understand the difference between future value and interest? If I go to the bank and borrow $10,000, they want me to pay it back in a year. And I go, okay, it earned $1,000 interest. I borrowed $10,000, but it earned $1,000 in interest. And at the end of the year, they're not going to be happy if I just pay them back the $1,000. They're going to want the original 10 as well. They want 11, don't they? So there's a difference in interest. The interest is just the 1,000, like in this last problem. The interest was just the 2,000. The principal was the 14,000. The future amount was the whole thing added up. So I'm saying to find the future amount, there's a nice little, that's everything. Interest and principal all together in one. Now, that's what they're talking about in this problem. They're saying future amount, which means this must be future amount. So I'm going to use this future amount formula. And I'm going to put 64,000 in for the A, because that, right, says the given future amount. So 64,000 must be future amount, must be A. The P, I don't know. That's what they're asking me for, present value. They're asking me, how much did we borrow now if in the future we've got to repay exactly $64,000, which includes principal and interest and everything? Y'all with me? Am I losing you? Does that make sense? Let me see if you understand. Is the P going to come out higher or lower than the 64,000? Going to be lower. So that makes it going to be because we borrowed some lower amount of money, and at the end of the time we got to pay back what we borrowed plus some more. So the 64,000, which is the future amount we're paying back, is higher than what we borrowed. Maybe we borrowed 60. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe we borrowed 60,000, and there's 4,000 in interest, maybe, and so the total amount we got to pay back is 64,000. I don't know. We're about to find out. But it's some lower amount that we borrowed in principal. And then there's also interest, and it all came out to pay back 64,000 exactly. So they're asking us to do this question backwards. If you're going to pay back 64,000, what was the original amount borrowed? Well, the interest rate was 8%. It's 0.08 times T. What's T? 20 months. You know what you do with that? 20 over 12 plus 1. That good? And so now I'm going to solve that little equation. Let me slow down. Am I going too fast? I just plugged in the rate, plugged in the time, plus 1. I want to solve that using this future amount formula, which you can put on your 3x5 card. I want to solve for P. It's like this is an equation, and P is saying, I want to be alone. I want to be alone. So it means to solve, right? P wants to be alone. How do I get P alone? What do I do to get P alone?
You divide that out.
Divide that whole chunk, right? Is that good? That's exactly it, Joel. Divide that whole chunk. 0.08 times 20 over 12 plus 1. Whatever you do to one side, no choice. Same thing to the other. Plus 1. Right? You divide that on both sides. It cancels here, and P is alone. The other side, hit the buttons on your calculator and find out what P is. Everybody see what I'm doing there? Now, do you guys have your calculator with? This is where part of the battle in this class will be entering very ugly things on your calculator. That's why it's nice to have the graphing. It's very easy. But it's okay if you don't have graphing today. But whatever your calculator you're going to use in the test, it'd be smart to bring that to class with you just so you get in the hang of how you enter things. Because every calculator is a little different. I'll do my best to describe the different ways. Feel free to grab me after class with calculator questions. Would be a good time to do that. But I'll do what I can. So see if you can enter that 64,000 divided by all that stuff. Depending on your calculator, there's different things you might need to do. You might need to do this. You might need to put parentheses. Yeah, it's a safe plan just to put parentheses around the whole denominator when you enter it. Basically, let me put it this way. If you have a calculator that shows it like a fraction, actually shows it vertical and everything, then you don't need any extra parentheses. The calculator knows. But for most of our calculators, it shows it all on one line. And if that's the case, then you need to put parentheses around that whole denominator, or it will not know that whole thing is done. If you don't put that whole thing in like that, it'll just, if you just go divide and you type in all this, it'll only divide by the 0.08. It'll only think that's the denominator, and it'll put all the rest in the top. It won't know. So the way you tell it, hey, look, calculator, all this stuff is denominator, is you parenthesize it. If it's all in one line. If it's a nice kind, those like kind that are nice that show it all vertical, then it knows, and you don't need to mess with any extra parentheses. So put parentheses around the denominator because there's more than one item. Whenever there's more than one thing in the numerator or denominator, you should parenthesize them so the calculator knows what's what. So 0.08 times 20 divided by 12 plus 1. So I'm getting 56,470.59, rounds to 59. Did you get that okay? So you do have to parenthesize, or you could just figure out that denominator answer first if you want, and then just divide that way. But that's a lot harder, slow you down, and be inaccurate, because you'll have to keep rounding and writing more things out. Much, much, much better if you can learn how to do this in one fell swoop. It'll be more accurate and quicker on tests. So is that good? Y'all able to do that? So bring the calculators with you to class so you can be practicing these things. Grab one at the library if you don't already have one. Get one of those TIs so you don't have to pay. It's $100 waiting for you over there. Questions on that? We good? Not do that. All right, so try that one. Find the present value of the given future amount. So use the same formula we used in the last one. A equals P parenthesis 1, or RT plus 1, is that what it was? Like that, use that formula. I think the Math Excel, if you click on the help button, they reverse it, they put a 1 plus RT, it's the same thing. Works either way. Did I do roll? I didn't actually roll, did I? All right, so same formula. This is the amount, 199,425. And the rate is, move it to decimal point 0.074 times time, 276 over 360 plus 1. Then to solve for P, that's what they want, present value. Divide by that whole 0.074 times 276 over 360 plus 1. We're going to do to one side, do to the other, 0.074. 276 over 360 plus 1. This cancels. P's alone. Hit the buttons. So 199, 425. Remember, when you put in your calculator, put parentheses around the denominator. when you hit divide, divide by 0.074 times 276 divided by 360 plus 1. So I'm getting, looks like 206. Wait a minute, did I do something wrong? Oh, I did something crazy. 199, 425 divided by parentheses. 0.074 times 276 divided by 60 times. There we go. I don't know what I did, but I did something crazy. 188,718.37. Did you get that okay? 188,000. And you know, my first answer, I got 206,000. Had to be wrong because it has to be lower. It has to be lower than 199, doesn't it? You'd borrow a lower amount and pay back more. So I couldn't have borrowed a higher amount and pay back less. So that's a reasonable answer, and it's the right answer. Is that okay? How many are getting that? Can you raise your hand if you got that? I just want to see where we're at. Okay, looks like a majority. Questions I can answer or help with? If you're having trouble with the calculator, grab me after. Be glad to help you. Just take 10 seconds probably on that. But definitely get that straight for your homework. How to do the calculator thing. All right, okay. So borrows $3,000 at 15% for 3 months to pay tuition. Find the total amount due. So the amount due, same formula, P1. I'm going to switch it around. 1 plus RT, RT plus 1. Same formula either way. Doesn't matter. All right. Now, the question, you got to be clear on these. This class has a lot of word problems. So that's our formula. Now, got to be clear, which is that 3,000. Is that 3,000 the final amount? Is that the A or is that the P? Yeah, it's not the A because they're asking me for the amount due, aren't they? Find the amount due. So this time they're giving me the P, the principal that was borrowed. The interest rate, 0.15, the time, what's a point there, 0.15, the time, 3 months. You know what we do with months? We put them over 12 because we got to make them years. Like that, right? So hit the buttons on the calculator. I'm getting 3112.5, $3,112. And it makes sense that the amount due is more than the amount borrowed. We borrowed $3,000, but we got to pay back $3,000 plus interest. So it comes back to $3,112.50. Are we good? No questions? You're such a quiet group. Please speak up if I can help. Want to help. If you have a question, don't hold it back. So 1 plus RT. So same formula. Keep using that same formula. So an account invested in a money market fund grew from this to this in a month. What was the rate? All right. So let's start with what is this first? So it went from a lower amount, it grew to a larger amount in a month. So the first, the amount it started went from this to that. So the amount, the from, what it started off with, is that the A or the P? P. The principal is what you start with. So that's the P. And the other one's the amount, isn't it? What it grows to, what it becomes later is the amount, the future value. 73,633.07. The principal is the original amount. 73,334.62 times 1 plus R. We don't know R. What's the T? 1/12 because it's 1 month. A month. So that's 1/12. Time is 1/12, isn't it? Good to there? Got to solve that equation for R. How are we going to solve that equation for R? ideas? Here's the wall.
Mine is 73,000 to the
R's sitting here saying, I want to be alone. Get rid of all this stuff so I can be alone. What do we do first? Yeah, should I subtract the 73,334, 62 from both sides?
You gotta divide it.
Got to divide it because it's times, huh? Yeah, good job. Got to divide it. So divide the 73, 334, 62. What do we do to one side? Do to the other. Boom. So I'm going to use my calculator to find out what that is. 73, 63. I'm getting 1.0. Whoops. Use a lot of actually. Whenever you've got a decimal and you're still in the middle of a problem, it's best to use a lot of decimals rather than rounding. We'll round at the end a lot, but right now we should use as much as the calculator gives us. 9701 equals 1 plus r times a 12th. Good so far? You don't need the parentheses anymore. Why not? Because the thing that was separating the parentheses from the other number's gone. Right? This is gone. So you don't need the parentheses anymore. They were just there to separate from the 73,000 number. So far, so good? Now R is still saying, I want to be alone over here. Get rid of this 1. Get rid of this 112 so that I can be alone. So what do I do next? Yeah, good idea. Subtract the 1, because that 1 is added, so subtract it. So this will be 0.004069701 is R times the 12th. Good, we're almost there. Now R is saying, I won't be alone. What do you do to get rid of that 112? Multiply, because that's like a 12. A 12 on the bottom is a 12 divided, so the opposite is to multiply. Yeah, good job. Boom. That gets R alone. The other side. Oops. I don't know. 0.004069701 times 12. I'm getting R equals 0.0488. 048836, blah, blah, blah. How many places? Well, we're supposed to change it to a percentage, so move it 2 places to make it a percentage, 4.8836%. And then how many places do we want us to round? Oh, nearest tenth. 10 has 1 0, 1 place past decimal. So 4. This place, look 1 to the right, round it up, 4.9%. Is that too quick? Did you track with that? So when I got the decimal for R, I changed it to a percentage with the decimal 2 places. Then they said round to the 10th. So this is the 10th place, right? This is 1 0. So 1 place to the right of the decimal. That's the 10th place. Circle that. Look 1 to the right. Circle the place you're going to stop in. The 10th place. 1 place to the right. Look 1 to the right. 5 or more go up. 4.9%. So that interest rate must have been 4.9% that made that growth happen. Kind of able to work it backwards. Good. Questions? Remember all that algebra? A little review of your algebra skills there. That good? No questions? All right, let's keep moving. Same formula. A equals P 1 plus RT. Give it a try. Let me give you a second. See if you can make it happen. All right, we good? So Dave took out 6,100. 6,100 is the what? What letter? That's the P, right? That's the principal. And 11%, that's the rate, 0.11. The T we don't know. And he repaid 87.84. That's the amount. Good? So we need to solve that equation for T. First step, divide by the 6,100. Boom. What do we get there? I'm getting 1.44. 1 plus 0.11t. Subtract the 1. So 0.44, these cancel as 0.11t, bring it up here. 0.44 is 0.11t. Divide by 0.11, that's easy math. That's 4. T is 4. 4 what? 4 years. Remember, time is in years. It must take 4 years for that 6,100 to become 87.84 at 11%. Good and all that? All that algebra stuff coming back to you? Glad to help you with that. Come by, see me. The words, I assume, are probably the hardest part, so let me make sure you're good with the words. All right, so same kind of formula, just A equals P, 1 plus RT. So tuition of 2029 will be due. So that's future amount, isn't it? 2029 will be due. What should be done to, that's P. We don't know what P is. The rate, 3.45, so 0.0345, times T. T is 5/12 time. So there we go. I'm going to go dot, dot, dot. You just need to solve for P there. That's a solve, well, it's one step really. So you would just divide by the 1.0345 times 5/12. Boom. P's alone, whatever that comes out to equal. I'm getting 2,000.25. Student needs to put $2,000.25 in the bank now, and in 5 months it'll grow to be the amount needed. Same kind of question. All right, I'm going to rapidly move on. That'll be okay. So basically they're saying, look, $20 per share, that's the original principal, became the amount $45 a share plus $7.47. Then right here they said increase in value plus dividend. Increase in value plus dividend. So the amount will be, what is that, 52.47. That's the amount. That's what they're saying. The stock grew from $20 a share up to $45, and it paid $7.47 per share. So add that up. Really, it's like it went up to $52.47 per share. That's the A, they're telling me. That's what they're saying with all those words. So then I use the same old formula. A equals P, 1 plus RT. The amount is the 52.47. The P is the 20. 1 plus interest rate, I don't know, that's what I'm looking for. Time, 1 year. So time is just 1. Am I losing you? Does that make sense there? Right, the $20 per share grew to 45 plus it paid a dividend, so that's just adding. It really grew to 52.47. Put those in. Solve for R. What's my first step in solving that for R? Yeah, divide by that 20. Boom. So 52.7 divided by 20. I'm getting, bring it over here, 2.6235 equals 1 plus R times 1. So now just subtract 1. Boom. R times 1, that's just R, is 1.6235. 1.6235. That's the interest rate. How do you change 1.6235 to a percentage? Because they're asking me for a percentage answer. Yeah, you move the decimal 2 places. Yeah. 162.35%. But they say round to the 10th, so 162.4%. So that's a great growth on that stock. It grew at an interest rate of 162.4%. 100% growth is doubling, right? Something grows 100%, then all of it, it grew by all of it. It doubled, in other words. So this is more than doubled. 20 doubled would have been 40. This went far above that. So it makes sense. The answer is more than 100%. That's more than 100% growth. Good on that. Questions? Okay. Building contractor gives a $14,000, $500 promissory note to a plumber who has loaned him $14,500. The note is due in 9 months, so the contractor gives that to the plumber. So the plumber, okay, the note is due in 9 months with interest 6%. 3 months after the note is signed, the plumber sells it to the bank. If the bank gets a 7% return on its investment, how much will the plumber receive? Will it be enough to pay a bill for $14,529? That's confusing, isn't it? All right, what's going on there? Okay, so basically, the plumber, he gives a promissory note. Basically he loans the contractor $14,500. It's due in 9 months with interest rate 6%. So, yeah, 3 months after the note is signed, the plumber sells it to the bank. What do they want me to do on this problem? They want me to take that $14,500 and put, let me double check. So here we go. So we're going to use the A equals P 1 plus RT thing. A equals P 1 plus RT. So that means $14,500 is the principal. The plumber loans the building contractor $14,500. Really, that means he does work. What really happens in real life? A plumber does the plumbing, right? The general contractor hires the plumber to do his plumbing work. Well, the plumber does his work. He just did $14,500 in work. But the building contractor is like, I can't pay you till I sell the house. So he says, 9 months from now, I'm going to sell this house and I'll pay you. But right now, he owes the plumber $14,500. The plumber just delivered the goods. He just did his work. So right now he owes, the plumber says, my fee is $14,500. You owe it to me right now. If you're not going to pay me for 9 months, it's like I'm loaning you that money that you owe me right now. I'm letting you ride on that. So you're going to pay interest to me. So so that's for 9 months, he's going to pay interest. So the amount that the building contractor will have to pay back to the plumber at the end of 9 months, let's figure that out. The interest rate what is it? Oh, there it is, 6%. So it's 6% interest for 9 months. You with me? So let's figure that out first. So use your calculator. Find out what the plumber's supposed to get paid at the end of that time. And I'll show you what we do from there with the bank thing. I'm getting $15,152.50. That's at the end of 9 months. So in other words, the plumber's saying, you owe me $14,500 right now, but if you want to wait to the end of 9 months, I got to get a little interest on that money that you really do owe me right now. So at the end of the 9 months, $15,152.50. That's the promissory note. He signs that. He signs that note. Says, all right. So the plumber is going to get that money at the end of 9 months. You with me so far? That will become the amount of money the plumber will get paid at the end of 9 months. So it's kind of like the time value of money, right? The plumber's work was worth $14,500 when he did it, but later it's worth more because interest over time. So now, here's the trick thing that happens. 3 months after the note is signed, 3 months after the plumber does his work and the contractor says, great, I'll do it. The plumber says, I can't wait 9 months. I need some money. So he goes over to the bank and he says, look, bank, I've got this note right here, this promissory note. A building contractor promises to pay me at the end of 9 months $15,152.50. I want to give you this note, bank. Give it to you right now at the end of 3 months. There's still 6 months to go. Right? This is after 3 months in the 9-month process. There's still 6 months to go. I'm going to give you this note, bank, right now. Will you just cash me out right now? So the bank will give him cash. They'll keep the note. And then at the end of the time period, the contractor will just pay back the bank. Does that make sense? That's the kind of operation we're talking about here. Well, the question is, how much will the bank give him? Well, banks are in business to make money, right? Banks aren't in business to just hand out money. So the bank officers will think the following way. They will think, all right, yeah, we'll take your note, but we will only pay you an amount so that it's just like at the end of the time, we're going to get $15,000. That's what the bank's going to be paid at the end of the time, right? The $15,152.50. That's what the building contractor is going to pay at the end of the 9 months, which is 6 months from the time the note's handed to the bank. So the bank is thinking, look, if you're going to pay us this, if this is what this note is worth at the end of 9 months, then we'll pay you a lower amount right now so that we really make 7%. Whatever lower amount would be making us 7% per month between now and the time the note is paid at $15,152.50. So the question for us is, what amount is that? So in other words, we do another A equals P 1 plus RT equation at 3 months in when he's going to the bank. And the bank is saying, look, we know the amount we're going to get paid in the end is $15,152.50. That is the A. That's the amount we're going to get paid at the end. The principal is what we'll hand you right now, plumber, so that we're making 7% rate for what? 6 months, 6/12. There's the equation. Solve for P. Did you track with that? The bank is saying, we're going to get an amount, $15,152.50. What we'll give you now, principal now, so that we make 7% for those 6 months. We'll give you some lower principal so that it's like we're making 7% per month for those 6 months. Solve for P. Solve for P, divide by the 1 plus 0.07 times 6/12. Divide by the 1 plus 0.07 times 6/12. Boom. P equals. I'm getting 14,640.10. I had to round 0.09 to 0.10. So the bank will say, okay, plumber, we'll give you 14,640.10 for that note, which will pay us 15,000 something at the end, 6 months later from now. But so the plumber made a little bit of money. Originally his work was 14,500. It went up a little bit in those 3 months. The bank's still going to make its profit. Plumber made a little profit. Building contractor pays back the full amount to the bank at the end. Does that make sense? Let's go type that in, make sure that I'm not answer. So are we good on that? Does that make sense on all? That's pretty complex little situation there. Any questions on that?